Hey guys, Julie McQueen here, and once again I'm going to be talking to you a little bit today about how to clean your firearms. Now, as with all of my firearm cleaning videos, this video is not for people who already really know what they're doing. I am by no means a professional. I just like to put these videos out there so that beginners and people who are new to this feel a little bit more comfortable field stripping and wiping down and cleaning their guns. I think a lot of people are apprehensive about it. I totally get that. But as long as you know that you really can't mess it up as long as you put safety first. Now today we're going to be working with a Ruger Red Label. This is a 12 gauge shotgun, over and under. As you can see, I've got it broke open. Everything's clear. This one does still have one choke tube in it. I like to take those out before I start doing anything. You can take them out after you've taken the barrel off, but might as well go ahead and do it before. And this gun was actually just shot last week at a shooting event, so it's gonna need a nice, good wipe down. And what I do with the choke tubes, especially if the gun has been shot quite a bit, like at shooting events, I like to take them and I take a little glass jar like this, just drop them right in there. I take any type of gun cleaner, nice solvent, and I just spray them down real good. I turn them over a couple times, get down inside of them with it, and just completely douse them. And then I'm just gonna set those over on the side. Don't even need to mess with them right now. Just like that. And then, okay, so breaking open your shotgun. We know it's clear. I'm gonna close it. To break it open, pretty much every over and under is gonna be the same. Your release is right here underneath. Gotta get your finger in there, lift. I like to be really gentle. You don't wanna scuff up any of the pieces in here, and that is just gonna slip right off. And as you can see, it's nice and gooey down in there. This gun was actually just shot for the first time recently. So, I'm gonna put that there. And then, to take the barrel off, I'm gonna fold that over. And on these, it'll break open, and then you have to push a little bit more on this in order to get it to come loose. Might have to get a little leverage on it, just like that. And there you go. Now, depending on how much you shoot your gun, I do not recommend cleaning down inside the stock more than not even once a year. And that's for people who really use it a lot. So if you don't shoot a lot, don't even worry about going up inside this trigger mechanism or anything. You can wipe down all of this and then re-oil it. That's a good idea, especially with over and unders. As many times as you're opening and closing it, you want to make sure it's really lubricated. What we're going to start with is a nice cleaning session just right here on the exterior part of this. I'm just going to put a little bit of solvent on this, and be careful when you're working with pieces that have this nice wood. You don't want to get any of that on the wood. It can really damage the wood and cause it to discolor. So I'm just wiping everything down, just a very superficial wipe down. Take the rag, just go down in there, just like that. I also always like to have Q-tips on my cleaning table. So I'm just gonna douse the end of a Q-tip, just like that. I'm gonna go down inside here, and I can see where some debris has gotten stuck down in these little pieces. The trick is just to get down in there with this, and then afterwards, do a visual inspection and make sure that no little pieces of cotton from your Q-tip have gotten stuck inside on the metal pieces. Just like that. Pretty simple stuff. And one other thing that is very often overlooked is your trigger guard. It's the part of the gun that you touch pretty much more than anything. Just take a tiny bit of solvent, get up in there, and wipe it down real good. Forwards, backwards, go up in between, behind, because if any debris has gotten up in there, maybe you oiled it the last time you shot it, and then debris gets stuck on it, you need to really take good care of that trigger guard because it will show wear and tear over the years. Just like that. Wipe down all these little pieces, just like so. And that piece is pretty much done. We'll grease it down before we put it all back together, but for now I'm just gonna sit it right over here. just like that. All right, now for the barrel. Different people have different ways of cleaning their guns. We all know that. It's just like on YouTube where you see the girls doing makeup or hair tutorials, and you know, they have a specific way of doing it. Doesn't mean your way is right or wrong. It just means that different people are going to be doing it different ways. So the way I like to do it is I take some type of solvent. Doesn't matter what kind you use as long as it works. I like to lay it down and just give the gun a nice bath. Spray everything down. I like to flip it over, spray everything down real good. I like to do the outside first, and then I'll actually re-wipe all this down before I put it all back together. I just like to go ahead and get that done. Get up in here in these nice little grooves, in these tight spots. And this is really just a once over. It's not even, you don't even have to be really, really careful about it. Just get in there and get all that debris off. You can see that this one has quite a bit of stuff on it. It was shot for 2 days at a shooting event, so I need to get in there and make sure all of that debris is wiped off and clean. Just like that. And again, this is a great time to grab your Q-tip and just quickly douse it up and just get down inside these little parts where you wouldn't be able to normally reach. Even if you don't do this every single time that you clean the gun, as long as you do it once in a while, it's fine. Unless if you're shooting, you know, a few days a week or on a pretty regular basis, then do a lot more of a deep cleaning every time or every other time. But for this, that is just about perfect. Again, give it a nice visual inspection, make sure no little Q-tip pieces are stuck to it. And that is how I do the outside. And now for the fun part. Okay, so these, I'm gonna prep one of these and get it ready. Now, you can use whatever you like to use to clean your gun. Some people use, you know, a snake or whatever, and they go up in there. I like to do it this way. Doesn't mean you have to do it this way. It's just kind of what I've done over the years and what's worked for me, what I'm most comfortable with. So this, I'm gonna put this piece on like that. I'm gonna put this right here, and then this piece is gonna fold up over just like so. Like a nice little cleaning rag, just like that. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this solvent that I've been using on every other piece of the gun, and I'm just gonna go right around this whole thing, just like that. And you can be pretty liberal with it, just put it all over, because you're gonna go right back in there and clean it out anyway. So this is gonna loosen up any of that stuff that's in there. You can do this any direction you see fit. I'm gonna start at this end. I'm gonna run this down in here just like that. Now when you're doing this, be careful, because whenever you pull it out, you might see some debris come out depending on how dirty your gun is. I'm going to run it through twice just because I know that there's a lot of stuff in this barrel that needs to come out. I'm going to do that just like so. There we go. So you can see that there's quite a bit of stuff coming out of the barrel. I'm actually going to leave the same swab on, but I'm going to add a little bit more solvent to it. And we're going to go down that second barrel. Like this. Beautiful. All right. So as you can see, having this guard on here is going to make sure that this pad hits the barrel the whole way down. That's why we use those. So be sure to put that on there and then run it through a couple times. And then next, I'm going to take this piece off. And you can use any type of cleaning kit that you want. I have one that's pretty expensive. I love that everything's labeled properly, like a nice cleaning kit with all the options. This is for a 12 gauge shotgun. Don't use a steel brush, use a copper brush. I'm gonna pull this off of here. I'm gonna put it right on here. And the thing is, when you're using your brush and your barrel, I'll show you. Run this in like this. And here's the other thing, for those of you who are new to cleaning your guns, or, you know, if you've never really done this type of thing before, don't be scared of it. I mean, really, if you get it all taken apart and can't put it back together, you can find someone or you can find a video to help you put it back together. You're not gonna hurt it. As long as you put safety first, you're gonna be just fine. Okay, so as I'm pulling this through, you'll notice I just do one pull through. Don't go back and forth with it. And I always like to watch when I pull it out at the end, because sometimes some debris comes out like that. So you can see all of this debris that has come out of that barrel. And it kind of makes you feel good about cleaning your guns, you know? You don't want all that in there. That does not need to be in your barrel. I'm gonna go down the other one, just like this. Get a nice pull. Sometimes it's a little hard to pull. And again, just like that. Got all that debris out. And then I'm gonna remove this. Now you can run this through a couple times. I'm only running it through once because I'm really just here to show you how I do this. Oh, I guess it'd help if I put this back on. And the other cool thing about cleaning your guns is you can break these things down and just wipe them down real quick. You don't have to be completely extensive every single time you do it. So if you just feel like, hey, I might want to wipe it down, get some debris out, whatever it is, go for it. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect every time. There's a lot of days I just feel like wiping stuff off. So I'll open up one of my guns, maybe I haven't cleaned in a while, and I'll just wipe it down. It doesn't even have to be perfect. It's like a form of therapy. Okay, so we're gonna run this through like this. This is my top barrel. Just like that. And you can see all of this stuff coming out from that brush that just went through. So I'll run it through one more time. Just like that. And if you're seeing a lot of debris still coming out of this, go ahead and clean that rag off, put a fresh one on, and run it through again. It's not gonna hurt anything to get it really clean in there. Like that, pull it through. Perfect. And then when you pull this off, you can see that, once again, that went all the way down that barrel and pulled all of that debris out. Now, the other cool thing is if you have canned air, compressed air, just blow it out real good, blow all of your little pieces off. The other thing that I will show you is earlier I put these choke tubes in some solvent. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to spray a little bit more in there. And then I'm going to take a little brush. I'm just going to clean them up. These things were down in there. They got just as dirty as the rest of the gun. I'm going to do that. Scrub it up real good. Go down inside with the brush. And then my rag, just like that. And that way next time you go to put your choke tubes in, they are not going to be disgusting. Also, I like to let these sit out for a little while before I put them back in the barrel, just in case if there's any moisture on them, you don't want them to go in there and rust. So I like to let it air dry for about half an hour after I'm done cleaning everything. And then I'll just go back through, and if I see any extra debris, I will just wipe it down. That's how I go through the inside of it. I just put a little patch on there, just like so, and push it through with a Q-tip. And you can see some of that debris coming out. So we'll do the same thing on this one. Get them nice and dry on the inside, just like that. So then you have 2 clean choke tubes. Got that. And then I'm gonna wipe down the outside of this barrel one more time. Move this out of my way. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. A lot of times I will just wipe it down. Oh, one more tip. Sometimes your shotgun will have a little painted, most of the time they're a little orange sight on the end right there. This one is a little brass piece, so I don't have to worry about it. If you have a painted one, cover it up with a little piece of tape. You don't want the solvent to eat that paint away and then you have to have it touched up. So cover up any extra little pieces, sometimes they'll have like little wood pieces, use tape, cover it up, and that way you don't have to worry about it. All right, now, since this is an over and under shotgun, there's a lot of moving parts. You want to make sure it's very lubricated before you put it back together. This one, I'm actually just going to take some lubricant. I'm going to spray some of the moving parts on both sides. A lot of times people will take a pretty thick oil, put one little layer on there. For right now, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to take this piece, and I don't want to get all of the oil out, but if I see any debris on just a quick wipe down, I'm just going to go in, I'm going to take a Q-tip, and I'm going to go in there and just make sure that all the debris is off. As you can see, it's nice and oily down in there, and I do see a little bit of cotton from a Q-tip. So I'm just gonna make sure none of that stays in there. I'm gonna lube it up a little bit, right under the moving pieces, just like that. And set that there. Like I said earlier, don't worry a whole lot about the stock. I don't do much with it, maybe once a year, not even that. I might break it down and give it a good cleaning, but it's not something that you would typically need to worry about. I'm gonna put a little bit of oil in there, like so. You can also put some of this up in your trigger if you feel like maybe it needs it, but just a dab, not a whole lot. And then, if you want to make sure that all of that debris is out of there, use some compressed air, just go over everything. It'll blow all that debris out so you don't have to worry about it. Now, sometimes people get really nervous about putting the gun back together. That sometimes is the worst part of it. All you have to do is look down in there. There's little notches. You can see exactly where one piece fits onto the other. It's like a puzzle. Just put it down in there. Might take you a couple tries. I've been doing this a long time, and I still sometimes have a hard time. Okay, now you want to hear the prettiest sound in the world? That's the prettiest sound in the world. And that, my friends, is a clean shotgun. So if you can't get it put back together, I'm sure you know somebody who will be willing to help you. Always be really careful putting this piece back on. You don't want to scratch up anything unnecessarily. All you do is just literally slide it nice, easy, just like that. You'll hear it click. Everything should work well. I always like to test it a couple times, make sure it works well. If you plan on shooting in any extreme environments, make sure you use a little bit extra oil, wipe it down every time you use it. But the main thing is, don't be afraid to break it down and clean it. There are tons of videos out there to show you how to do these things. And like I said, this video is really just for people who are curious about it, maybe just getting started. And you know, I'm not a professional by any means, just something I enjoy doing, and I hope you enjoy doing it also.